What is up, and welcome back to another episode of Blood and Beer, the show where we talk blood sport and we drink beer. I'm your host, Matt, and as always, we got some MMA to talk, some beer to drink. Today we're recapping UFC Fight Night, Bellator, Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, and One Championship. A little bit of everything today. Just to recap, and we got UFC No Chain next week. It's going to be fucking wild. Some big MMA retirements are included in this show. Bets didn't hit like we had hoped this week. We were undefeated on BKFC. We lost about 130 on the UFC card, so is what it is. You take your L's and you fucking eat them. Eat your crow, I think, is the whatever. We're down 250 year to date. We're not doing as good as we were when we started off. But today, it's not about the picks. We're just talking about what happened, what we got going on, and what's going to be moving forward. First fight of the night on UFC Fight Night, we had Gigamantis Ramaskia versus Nathan Fletcher. These guys were both on the Ultimate Fighter. They were supposed to fight 2 weeks ago. Fletcher had to pull out due to illness. This time, both healthy. Fletcher picks up a round 2 arm triangle. He looked pretty dominant in it. His ground control was awesome. He kept throwing the same overhand left and then shooting a takedown over and over, and it landed every single time. I mean, not a lot was learned from this because both guys are low-level UFC, but it'll be interesting to see where Fletcher goes from here. UFC might cut Ramaskia or just have him fight on Contender Series to earn a contract. All right, we are back. Sorry about that. Some parental break there. Anyways, after the Ramaskia fight, we had Andre Petrosky. He gets another unanimous decision win. He's pretty dominant over Dylan Butka. Butka came in. He had a real bad weight cut, missed weight, fined 20%. Andre Petrosky, he was good with the hands. He was good on the ground. Always has great ground control. Looked like he was going to get an arm triangle there for a minute, but he doesn't like to step over with the arm triangle. He doesn't like to commit and lose the control. So is what it is. But he picks up the unanimous decision, and that was a last-second bet for us. We got the dub there. 200 got us 280. So that was nice. That was one of our few wins of the night. And then Jacqueline Amarim, she gets a round 1 armbar on Vanessa Demopoulos. Real controversial, though. As she's putting Demopoulos in the armbar, she has her other hand held. Her fingers are all the way up in the girl's gloves, and Demopoulos is screaming, "She's got her fingers in my gloves!" And then she gets the armbar and she taps, and she's like, "What the fuck? She had fingers in my gloves. What's going on, dude?" And they give her the win, but I think that's going to be overturned to a no contest because that was illegal as shit. Run it back. Let's see how it goes. She'll probably still win. She's a beast, but I mean, that was a dirty, dirty move. Goodness gracious. And then Andre Lima picks up a unanimous decision over Felipe Dos Santos. This dude's a kickboxer, and he went out there and wrestled. Dos Santos was kind of cracking him on the feet in the first round, I thought. And then round 2, round 3, he just started getting the takedowns, getting a lot of control. Nearly had a rear naked choke at one point, but Dos Santos was fighting the hands so well. That thing was sunk in there, and he still peeled the hands off, got out of it, reversed it. 9 minutes control time for a kickboxer, though. That's really good. And this guy was just a kickboxer as far as I knew coming into this, so that was awesome. Lost the bet, though, so that wasn't awesome. Fuck you, Andre Lima. I'm going to not fade you anymore. And then Chris Padilla, he gets a second-round TKO over Rong Zhu. It was awesome. These guys were beating the shit out of each other, just back-and-forth fight. Rong Zhu was looking really good, honestly. I thought he was getting the better of a lot of exchanges until Padilla landed a nasty elbow and then just pummeled him, followed it up, and the eye just swelled up immediately. Hematoma, it looked like around the eyeball. Doctor steps in, calls it off. TKO, Chris Padilla. 2 times he's the underdog. 2 times he gets the win. This dude... Everybody's fading him except me because that was a big win for us. We put 100 down, got 320 back, so thank you, Chris Padilla. And then Cody Durden, he stepped in on short notice, 4 days' notice, for Alessandro Costa against Matt Schnell. And he goes out there, dominant wrestling, gets the guillotine. He got a guillotine finish on that one. And Matt Schnell, after that fight, he retires. He's 1-6, or he's won 1 fight in his last 6. One of them's a draw, but he's just not been looking good. The chin's not there. He's just, those lightweight divisions, your time is so short because the chin goes, you just lose a little bit of that speed and it's gone. So Matt Schnell, good career up until the end, but he's retired. And then we had Steve Garcia get his 5th knockout in a row. He gets a TKO victory over Kyle Nelson with ground and pound, just fucking pummels the guy. Kyle Nelson had his back in on the ground, and then Steve Garcia reverses it and just starts raining elbows down, fucks him up. So Steve Garcia, 5-0 in his last 5 KOs. Amazing. This dude's going to be fighting top 15 soon, probably next. And then the co-main event, we had Natalia Silva outpoint Jessica Andrade in a pretty strike-heavy affair. Pretty dominant. All 3 rounds went to Natalia Silva. Andrade, when I saw her corner, I knew that she was just doing this one for the money. She suing her old manager because she said he ripped her off. This happens to her all the time, and then she ends up taking these fights against girls that I don't think are on her level, but she takes them short notice for money. Her corner looked like they were just 2 of her friends out there. Didn't have a team with her. It was sad to see. And then in the main event, we had Sean Brady taking on Gilbert Burns, and these guys went to war. They were cracking, and Sean Brady was getting the better of it. This guy got stopped by Bilal Muhammad 2 fights ago over in Abu Dhabi. Goes out there and strikes with a much heavier-handed Gilbert Burns, much faster, better striker, and he outstrikes him. In the wrestling exchanges, he got the better of. Looked great. It was a terrific fight. I mean, it was the best fight of the weekend. I thought these guys were cracking. And Sean Brady, he put those questions to rest of can he strike, can he take a hit? Yes, he did all that in this fight, and he gets the win. Calls out Ian Gary and Colby Covington for his next fight. That would be awesome. Either of those get him a chance to move into a title shot. Ian Gary would likely be a title eliminator, and that's a bad matchup for Gary, I think, because he's not going to be able to wrestle him. And if Sean Brady can keep that pressure on him, he's not going to be able to do the point kickboxing style that he likes. So, interesting things are happening at welterweight. And then over in Bellator, we had Usman Nurmagomedov. He defended his title against Alexander Shabali or Andre Shabali. I forget his first name now. Damn it, that's bad. But pretty dominant performance. Shabali was landing a nice right hand counter every time, but he just was not throwing enough. And Usman Nurmagomedov, he was going out there and throwing wild shots, flying knees, spinning back kicks. Not all of them were landing, but he was just out there. He's exciting. Thought it was weird. Bellator had a cam on Khabib the entire fight. You could hear everything he was saying the entire fight. Hardly any commentating, really. It was weird. I like seeing Khabib in the moments when he's telling people what to do and walking them through submissions or walking them through sequences to finish a fight. I don't want to see it for the entire fight. Let me hear the commentary team. Come on, guys. But it's run by PFL. I got problems with their production. Is what it is. And then the co-main event in that card, though, Lorenz Larkin gets a vicious round 1 KO over Levon Shokely, and he's the number 1 contender now at welterweight for Bellator. He drops him in the first and then just pummels him, just swarms him. Looked fantastic. I think he's almost 40 years old, or is 40. He's turned back the clock. He's going to be fighting the winner of Johnny Elbin and Fabian Edwards, I imagine. That's going to be a great fight also. But Lorenz Larkin coming on. He wants to have one last title run before he retires. And I'm not going to get into all the problems with Bellator and why it doesn't really matter who's champion over there because they only have 10, 15 fighters on their goddamn roster. But I digress. And then moving on to One Championship, they had a pretty cool card on Prime. John Haggerty's TKO'd in the first round in the main event by Superlek with a nasty elbow. Just flatlines him. Showstopper is what they call it, showstopper. So that was awesome in the main event. There was other entertaining fights. I'm not going to get into it because, like I said in my last show, we don't know who the one guys are, and they just cycle through so many. But weird things that happened in one. Mikey Musumeci, he lost his title on the scale. He was supposed to be grappling against Cade Ruotolo at 170. Ruotolo had to pull out due to injury. So they gave him a replacement fight on 5 days' notice, and it went from 170 to 135 pounds. So he had to cut 35 pounds in 5 days. Couldn't do it. Weighs in at 136 and fails their hydration test. So they're stripping him of the title. He doesn't fight. Just so bizarre because, I mean, if the fight doesn't happen, he didn't make weight. It was such weird circumstances. I don't know. And we also had Mighty Mouse retire. You know, the president of Karate Combat was saying on Michael Bisping's show last week, he said that he's got war with One Championship. A lot of the champions he talked to said they'd rather retire than ever fight for Chatri again just because of all the bullshit going on over there. And they're not making friends. If Demetrius Johnson was one of those guys, he still had a lot left in the tank, and he retired just up like that. it could be that Karate Combat was right. These guys are not happy over there. Mikey Musumeci, I'm sure he's not happy about getting his title stripped for some bullshit like that. Like, this dude was not prepared to cut weight at all. He was coming in for pretty much an open weight grappling against a much bigger guy, and I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but Karate Combat looking to take him down. It'd be crazy to see a little war between those guys. Little WCW WWE action over there. All right, and then moving on to BKFC, we had both our picks right. We did fantastic on BKFC. I said they like to put their top names, their big people up against people they should beat, and they did just that. Christine Ferreira defends her 125-pound belt against Jade Masot Wong, and unanimous decision there. It was a good fight, back and forth. I thought she was going to finish her, but she gets the win. Easy money there at minus 190, 195, whatever you bought in at. And then Jeremy Stevens, he also gets a win over Bobby Taylor in his second BKFC fight. So 2-0 now for Jeremy Stevens, and he was like minus 250, minus 260. Again, BKFC wants their guys to win. They're not going to give them too tough of matchups, even at 2.5 to 1 odds. I like that for Jeremy Stevens. That was good wins for us. Good little bounce back from the UFC. And then finally wrapping things up, the Cleveland Browns are absolute dog shit, and it breaks my heart, but it also makes me feel good. We're back to consistent. We had this guy named Baker Mayfield who came in, shook things up, made us good for a while, and the front office said, hey, we don't like change. We are terrible for 25 years. Let's go back to being fucking terrible. So we ship him out. We say, see ya. Bring in Deshaun Watson. Questionable character at best. And we're dog shit again. Love to see it. Love the consistency. Tradition. Dog shit, dog pound. Be proud. That's my rant about the Cleveland Browns. I'm sorry. And then this upcoming week, we got a UFC Noche Pick'em card on Wednesday. Probably Wednesday night it's going to drop. And we're going to have a little twist for this episode, looking to bounce back from our multiple losing weeks in a row. But you never know what's going to happen. It's going to be a great card at the Sphere. There's going to be a movie going on while the fights are going on, pretty much, of Mexican fight history. I can't wait to see that. That's all I got for you today, guys. Thank you for watching. This has been Matt with Blood and Beer. And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you thought about the fights. Let me know what your thoughts are on UFC Noche. Drop your picks below. And I appreciate you for tuning in.